Brethren, welcome to Crafted in the South, the official podcast for the province of Hampshire and the Isle of Wight. And Roddy, what an episode we have got today. Two absolute titans of Freemasonry.
The stars.
Yeah.
Who do we have?
Well, we've got our very own North Central Area Assistant Provincial Grand Master and Area Chairman, who will introduce themselves in just a moment, I'm sure. But as is our custom, Roddy, what have you been up to since the last time we met?
First, I got to start off with, James, happy Masonic New Year, because a lot of the lodges are starting the Masonic New Year.
Yes.
It's quite exciting because the seasons are changing. That means that, we have new things to get on with in Masonry. I'm quite excited about that. So what have you been up to the last month or just the tail end of the summer?
Well, yeah, I mean, as you say, meetings have met again for the first time in autumn. So, craft lodges have started to meet again. Chapter meets just next week. Side orders are starting to ramp up again. So all the fun stuff's starting to happen now.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to the officers that are moving up.
Yeah.
It's quite exciting. Actually, 2 weeks ago, I was up in London for the first time for Rose Croix at the Supreme Council. That was a treat. Different from craft, I have to say. I'm very glad that I had that experience. And if you are thinking about going to Rose Croix, no shame on plugging it in. Please join it. Look into it.
Well, I think our guests today have some experience with Rose Croix and may have something to say on that. So should we bring them into the conversation?
Let's bring them in.
Gentlemen, welcome. Assistant Provincial Grand Master, if we can start with you. Tell us who you are.
Well, good afternoon, and thanks for having me here. My name is Paul Hillyard, and I am the Assistant Provincial Grand Master in charge of the North Central area.
Welcome, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for having me today. My name is Maurice Doe, and I am the North Central Area Chairman, and I have the much privilege of being able to support the Assistant Provincial Grand Master.
And he does it extremely well.
Gentlemen, thank you for making the time to meet with us today. Just, if you would, tell us a little about your Masonic journeys to date, when you were initiated, and the various steps you took to get where you are today.
Well, I was initiated into the Lodge of Humility in 2001, so nearly 25, or next year will be 25 years, through my business partner at the time, who's still a member. And I was previously a round table, so I was quite a sort of a clubbable type of person. I'd gone through the chair of round table, and I literally then just got initiated into humility, and was worshipful master in 2007. So reasonably quick progression through the chair, and in fact, it's our installation tonight.
Oh, wow.
So, going on to that, which is fantastic. And then after coming out of the chair, I was secretary for 5 or 6 years, and then following on from that, various other bits and pieces, which I'm sure we'll come on to, and various other orders as well. So next year will be my 25th anniversary. So I believe the requirement in my lodge is to provide port for everybody's lot. So I'm saving up for that one now. So, and I'm sure you'd like to ask Maurice about his new styles here.
Yeah, so I was initiated in 2006. I went through the chair of Mayflower Lodge in 2014. I first really got started to getting involved in the area as the North Central Area membership officer, and that was around about 2017. A year later, I had the great privilege of being asked to be an AVC, an Area Vice Chairman of King's Court Masonic Centre. And it was a massive privilege because back in those it wasn't split up, so there was like 18 lodges to look after. From there, I was then for a year, after 2020, as Senior Area Vice Chairman, and then progressed to the North Central Area Chairman in 2023. Where I have the greatest of privileges, as I say earlier on, helping to support our Assistant Provincial Grand Master.
And that's an unusual, a faster than normal progression, isn't it? Because most AVCs RBOs first, but you went straight from your first sort of official appointment was AVC?
Yes, so I have had the privilege of working alongside of 3 APGMs. They've taken an independent view as they've taken over from the APGM role and set out their structure accordingly. And I was, as I say, very unexpected, which is always the nicest way to receive an honour or a privilege. And it was a great honour for me to receive an ABC, not actually being a VO. It's my journey has been it's been such a lovely experience for me personally. My Masonic journey, yeah.
I have a question for you guys because I feel that Freemasonry has a fun side, an admin side, and a difficult side of it, like anything in life. What has kept you both 20 plus years in Freemasonry?
Nearly 25.
Or 25?
The fun side of it. I mean, I really enjoy the fraternal side of it, and being in the company of other like-minded people, and enjoy making a difference to people's lives, because it does, absolutely does. When I first started and first came in, even though I'd been in round table, it was still quite a thing for me to stand up in front of a lodge of 30, 40 people or something like that, and deliver some ritual. I found that I was sort of halfway reasonable at it, and since then it has helped me no end in my personal life and in my business life as well, such that I can now, apart from things like this, which is the first time I've ever done something like this, that standing up in front of a lot of people and talking is absolutely fine, because of the experience that Freemasonry has given me.
Myself, in my early years, I had a speech impediment. I found it difficult to talk to people. Coming from a farming background, speaking to carrots and strawberries to bring them along, all of a sudden I'm engaged with people. I'm engaged with brethren, and the ritual side of things gave me the confidence. It took a long time, but the ritual part of what we do gave me the confidence, from 1 person to 18 people, 30 people, etc. And it's been literally a journey. So, and each year that's gone past, there's been something new. I've learned something. I've made more friends, and I generally have, again, coming from an isolated background, I've made many lifetime friends, some real close friends. So that's what I've got out of it.
I think it's very important and powerful to hear you guys say that it was challenging addressing a lodge room, delivering a ritual, that you were nervous and things like that, because when you see experienced Masons, you're like, oh man, they make it look so easy. I myself had a challenge. Like, I will have my Apple Watch go 130 beats per minute, and it's telling me when I first was delivering a ritual, my heart was gonna pop out, and you just get used to it. It is a great challenge. I have James that delivers an amazing ritual, and I'm like, James, I wish I could do that, but you know what? We're up for the challenge, and that pretty much everyone goes through it. If you're not a natural born presenter, you are made one if you decide to take the challenge in Freemasonry. And I really wanted to say thank you for saying that.
Well, I think what you'll find, Roddy, is that almost everybody, I won't say everybody, but almost everybody, when you're in a ritual situation, wants you to do well. Everybody in the lodge, everybody in the fraternity wants the people that are doing the work to succeed, because the whole thing is about the best experience for the candidate. And if the candidate's having a great experience because you're doing it well, that's what everybody wants. And he's going to come out of there thinking, do you know what, that was absolutely great. I really look forward to coming back to that lodge or another lodge or go visiting. And guess what? I've got some friends that will bring in as well, and you'll increase the fraternity. So that's what it's about. That's the real thing that I get from it, is to try and, with Maurice and with the area team, and we might get into some of that in a minute, to engage with our lodges, engage with our brethren, make sure everyone has a great experience, and to grow the area which will grow the province, which will grow the fraternity.
Speaking about growth, coming back to delivering the ritual, I had a mindset change that why do I get, so nervous and all that is because I actually care for it. You do care for it. If you're getting your heartbeat up and you're like, oh, wow, it's because you're actually caring about what you're doing,
Yeah.
which if you care about Freemasonry and delivering, you become a great Mason and you could recruit your friends or you could recruit that guy coming into Freemasonry. So it's important just to recognize that you love it if you get nervous.
I don't think there's anybody out there that doesn't get and slightly nervous when they're standing in front of a lodge and delivering a large part of ritual. And there's nothing better to actually stand in front of someone and look them in the eye.
Agreed.
Give the first degree charge or do the tombs or something similar to that. We've all been to lodges where people read it. And it's just not as great as it. There's nothing better to actually look at someone and do something really good. And, when you can see after 2, 3, 4, however many people have delivered a charge to somebody, for example, in first, and they look at that just thinking, wow, that was amazing. And you managed to learn and remember all of that. And then they go away and think about those words. The words are at the back of the welcome to welcome to the initiate booklet, and you talk about that. So that's the charge. That's what we stand for. And we learn all that, and we learned it for you. Okay? And that's what it really is all about.
I think there's a nicer feeling and more lovelier feeling either seeing a young Mason in Masonic years, not necessarily in age, that has particularly piece of ritual and does it so well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you get much more pleasure than seeing someone do that. Other than that, if you know the person personally, you brought them into Freemasonry, it's one of your friends, there's not a better feeling to see somebody do something like that. And of course, that's what keeps the interest going. And you want somebody that's not experiencing that outside of Freemasonry, you want them to have that experience. And for me, that's what keeps a massive interest for me.
And so you see a lot of people that initiate their sons, do their son's second or their third or something like that, do a ceremony for the son. I mean, how amazing must that be? And my son is 32. He's not on he's not coming yet. He probably will, but it's just still a little bit early for him. And there'll be nothing that can give me greater proof than to initiate my son. I initiated my father-in-law.
Wow.
And he was 85 at the time, into lodge maturity, and sadly he's still alive. His health is really, really, really poor, so he can't attend. But that was a great thing. So that's what it's about. And Freemasonry throws up those sort of nuances, those things that you think, well, okay, there's a guy who's going to install his son or initiate his father or something along those lines. And we've got one of those in my mother lodge. One of the young, I think he's junior warden now, initiated his dad. And that was amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Really, really good. So, and as I say, going back to my mother lodge, we're doing the installation tonight. We've got a young guy going in the chair, Sam, and he will be superb. Absolutely superb, I know he will. So something to really look forward to. Yeah.
Let me ask you some questions about your day jobs, your Masonic day jobs, for brethren who might not have had much contact with people with brothers who do what you do, or indeed for non-Masons who might be listening in who are trying to learn whether or not the craft is for them. What is the role of the APGM and the area gem?
So as APGM, I was installed in July 2024. So I'm now in my second year. My predecessor was James Neller, who did 5 or 6 years. I'm sure he would tell you.
Is that the usual term?
Well, it is. It's an annual appointment, an annual reappointment. Assuming that everything goes okay, then you'll get that want to make too much, don't want to anticipate too much for next year. But generally, it's 5 or 6 years. There are 6 APGMs. So the sort of the rule of thumb is that one drops off the top and another one comes on the bottom. Well, I'm in my second year at the moment. In the north central area, I'll give you a bit of a breakdown because it will sort of help you to understand. And some of the brethren who aren't particularly aware, we've got 5 centres in this area, which are Andover, Basingstoke, Eastleigh, Chandlersford and Winchester, Charlesville, King's Court. We are, because of the sizes of Winchester and King's Court, we split those 5 centres down into 7 sort of sub areas, and we have an AVC in charge of each one of those. We've got 44 lodges that I'm responsible for with the assistance of Maurice and the AVCs, but 4 of those are executive lodges, so they're not really under my remit. Those are Stewards Lodge and Dunkerley, which is BGM's lodge. 12 Brothers and Brian Bellinger, which I'm currently in the chair of. I'm just about to install Maurice in a couple of weeks' time into the chair of that one. And we've got around about 1,750 or so members. So my sort of responsibility remit is to look after those lodges, responsible to the Provincial Grand Master for doing that. And indeed, my other colleague APGMs have all got similar. I know there's another 5 areas, there's 6 areas overall, and they've all got similar sized areas, all around about 40 lodges, all around about that number of members. So I attend a monthly provincial executive meeting with the Provincial Grand Master, the deputy, who is now joint with the Royal Arch. We'll come on to that in a minute, and all the other area APGMs, and take instruction or take the items that have come down in terms of provincial policy and through United Grand Lodge from the PGM. I filter that and cascade that down to our area team. And then so after our monthly provincial executive, we have an area executive, which I chair. Maurice assists me on that, and then we pass all that information down. So, and as you can imagine, there are lots of things coming out, and the focus at the moment really has been and is continuing to be the membership challenge, and to incorporate the Royal Arch into that. So that's where we're focused at the moment. And I say Maurice really assists me with that. So I tend to pass the information down through Maurice, and then Maurice will manage the area vice chairman, and then through them the visiting officers, because each one of the lodges, as you probably know, has a visiting officer, which is the representative of the Provincial Grand Master within his lodge. So he's the PGM's eyes and ears, and stands up on the second rising and gives all the various information out, which we will impart to him. So there's a lot that goes on. We will ensure that our VO attends as many of the lodge meetings as he possibly can. We'd like to attend all of them, but we don't nail against the wall if he can't. But in most of those, and he's then supported by the ABC as well, and Maurice and I will attend wherever we can on a official or an unofficial basis. So we can come on to official visits and what they look like in a bit. But we're out and about. It's about visibility,
yes,
as far as we're concerned in this area, to make sure that we get out and meet our brethren, meet all the members, make sure they're having a great time, listen to any reasons why they might not be having a great time, see if we can do anything to help them out, and to assist them to help their lodges to grow.
And what about the role of chairman? How does that integrate with what Paul does, and what duties do you have that are particular to your role?
Well, pretty well much as our assistant provincial grand master has said, I literally support our APGM. I help chair our executive meetings, and I also assist and support the area vice chairmen. So in a very simplistic term, what comes down through the chain, it's my job to make sure that the communication and any initiatives that's been passed over to our APGM from his provincial executive meetings are communicated to the area vice chairman. So I made that as clear as I possibly can. So there's a great understanding. So then that was obviously passed the visiting officers and to the brethren, to the lodges. And then, of course, if there are any feedback that comes back up through to the chain, I will assist with the area vice chairmen to deal with any any communications that come through, and try to deflect as much as I possibly can to make the workload for our assistant provincial Grand Master as less as possibly can. However, our assistant provincial Grand Master is incredibly hands-on and knows everything what's going on in the area. So more often than not, it will be shared with him. But I'm a supportive role. The assistant provincial Grand Master and the area vice chairmen.
For clarity, are you guys supporting lodges or the membership?
That question.
That's a question. Yeah.
So members obviously are the most important thing for the province and for our area. So my role is to look after our membership.
Okay.
And of course, it is also the assistant provincial Grand Master's pinnacle role to look after, the ambiguity of our membership. But lodges are also, of course, important. But the membership, the happiness and the welfare of our members as the first and foremost part.
Excellent. I have a question, kind of, how can I tell you, abstract. Freemasonry is old. The world is new. How do you guys keep that conversation going between those two opposing factors?
Thank you for that question. That's an interesting one. Well, we are using, certainly in this area, and what we're doing now in terms of the new technology and some of the things that we've spoken about beforehand as well. In our previous meeting, which we had a comms meeting, an IT meeting, to start thinking about the use of Facebook campaigns. And I know Facebook is now starting on that. But you mentioned something this morning, Reddit as well, which I'd never heard of.
That's right.
And that's another tool that we can use. So we keep, and I think that's aimed much towards the younger brethren and prospective members, certainly somewhat younger than Maurice and I, who we don't tend to be anything other than total Luddites when it comes to technology. But the world has certainly moved on. From what it was 10, 15 years ago. We're much more in terms of an open organisation now. We encourage people to be open and to talk about their membership of the fraternity, and much more so than we did certainly when I joined. But like all these things, I think when you're a joining member, the main thing is you only get out what you put in. And it's like having a key to a car. You're given the key, but unless you put it in the ignition, you're not going to go anywhere. So you need to think about that and encourage our younger members to do that. And that's why mentoring is so important as well within the area, within the fraternity. I mean, we've all seen it. It's the same old. Someone comes in, he's had a great first experience from either his first or third degree, whatever, and then he's just left. And then that's a guy that is not, you can see he's not enjoying it. If you're not careful, he's gonna leave. So you need to be thinking about that, and that's what we encourage our lodges to do. When I first came in, just a story, I was initiated, and I think at the very next meeting, the worshipful master stood up and he said, "Look, we've had a golf tournament in this lodge," but he said it's we haven't done it for 4 or 5 years, and we've got nobody that will organise the golf tournament. We'd really like to get it underway again, specifically because they had a silver salver, and it was solid silver, and we desperately wanted to have this thing engraved, and it was a beautiful thing. And he said, will somebody stand up? Will somebody offer to organise the tournament? And of course, nobody said anything at all. And I looked around, and I was quite near in the lodge, and I thought, well, I don't know whether I'm going to say anything. And nobody did, and it just went away. Anyway, I thought about it, and I phoned the worshipful master up the next day. And, of course, bear in mind, this is 25 years ago. So it's the sort of thing he used to do. I phoned him up, and he was very surprised to hear from me, and he was even more surprised when I offered to organise the golf tournament. I heard this clunk and thud on the other end of the phone. Actually, I dropped the phone. So I said, look, I'd like to organise the golf tournament. So I did that for about 2 or 3 years, and I got to know everybody in the lodge. So rather than just going along to the lodge once, half a dozen times in a year, because that's all we did then, not necessarily going to to practices and rehearsals. I got to know everybody, and that stood me in great stead. So that's what I always say to younger initiates and indeed people that have moving on, gone through the chair. Get yourself involved. There's so much more that people can do now within the lodge or within the area. Now we've got the area structure. There's loads of opportunities for people if they want to do things. So and that's what both Maurice and I and our ABCs and hopefully our VOs through our sort of guidance will try and get people to do. That's what's about.
One of the disappointments, I suppose, of my short time in Freemasonry so far is that I'm yet to locate a provincial golf society. So maybe afterwards, you can point me in the right. Well, I found one, but it didn't seem to have done anything since before COVID, so I wasn't sure if it was, still up.
I think one of my colleague BGMs is very involved in that. I'm not. Can't say what he's like in terms of a player. Well, I've got a pretty good idea what he's like in terms of a player, but probably not very good. But well, I can certainly point you in the right direction of that. I did it a couple of times, but I've not played for 5 or 6 years and consistent injury.
You strike me maybe as one of these players who says, "Oh, this is the first time I've done this for years," and then you'll go out and you'll shoot 3 over.
I can assure you that is not the case. I was going to say 33 over, and that's a very good number for me, and a very good number Masonically speaking, probably. But so yeah, get me to the question. That's what I think we should be doing in terms of the new stuff.
Yeah, something that that doesn't get old. Being a self-starter, challenging yourself. Don't be scared. You're in the perfect place to experiment, and you're actually experimenting in a tried and proven organization of 300 plus years old, where you can make your mark. I think that's pretty special.
Yeah. I mean, we've got in this area, we've got membership team, comms team, social media team. We've got festival, we've got events, we've got the North Circular and all the light blues, all of which are great opportunities for young Masons and indeed, young in Masonic terms, not necessarily Asian, to get involved and to make a difference.
Yeah,
absolutely make a difference, and we encourage everybody to do that. But as I said at the start, we've got the thick end of 1,750 members, so it's difficult to know everybody. And both Maurice and I, when we go around, we're extremely approachable. Well, I think we are anyway, and certainly more so than it used to be 25, 30 years ago. And if you've got an idea, as you've done with this, and this has been superb, guys. But if you've got an idea, come and talk to us about it, and we'll we want to get involved, just let us know.
Yeah, it's kind of like the heartbeat of this area, and I think we could talk about some other areas that are doing their own initiatives, but the heartbeat is that you guys are open, and if it's for the good Freemasonry, you most likely will get a chance.
Well, you're trying to get me to do Paul Hillyard Goes on the Road.
Yes, we are.
Which I did at King's Sport Chance Sport the other week, which was through the Light Blues, which Andy Blanche facilitated. I ended up standing up for about an hour and a quarter and just used guys with throwing all sorts of questions at me, and I didn't get booed off. And it seemed to go down quite well. So we're gonna take that out there to the other centres and hopefully encourage people to come along. As I said before, I mean, certainly when I first came in, and Maurice as well, the visiting grand officers as they were now, you didn't go and talk to them. You literally didn't go and talk to them. They maybe come once a year. And they were, they weren't approachable at all. It's completely different now at Allo for our provincial Grand Master, and indeed our British provincial Grand Masters. Have encouraged a more open side of that, and engaged with people. So I'm going to go out and do that, which we'll see how that goes. So.
Those will be fun events. We're looking forward to those early next year, or maybe even late this year. Who knows?
Yeah.
So you mentioned grand officers just now, and one of the questions I was going to ask earlier was, you've both been awarded grand rank in the past. Yep. Have those honours come because of your current positions, or is it just sort of a matter of coincidence that you could? So, for example, I suspect in your area it goes with it, but for an area chairman, is it possible to be an area chairman and not a grand officer, or is it convention that one goes with the other.
Well, it is, and there are area chairmen that are not ground officers. I was sort of going back slightly. I was provincial steward in 2010. I had an active rank in 2013, but I got ground rank in 2017. At the same time, I was workshop master of the Stewards Lodge as well. So that wasn't that they weren't particularly connected. And then being an APGM, it's a ground rank that goes with that, and then there's a promotion that goes with that as well. So APGM, yes, ground rank. Area chairman, not it's not a given, but most of them are. Maurice will talk about his. So I've had mine in since 2017, which is is an absolute and total honour. I think it's only 4% of Masons that get a grand collar. So it's pretty few and far between.
Very rare.
I'm sure there's names that are put forward to our provincial Grand Master, but it's the provincial Grand Master's discretion to put someone forward to grand rank, where the decision's made with Grand Lodge, become a grand officer. But I think our APGM said earlier on, or indicated to the fact of, you will get out of Swipe Life, you will get out of Freemasonry what you put into it, and if you're prepared to put a lot into Freemasonry, you will get certainly a lot of reward back from it. And you just got to be grateful. If you get the honour and privilege to be rewarded, to do a job within Freemasonry, and as long as you put your heart and soul into it because you're happy to do so. The most important thing with all these roles is that we're happy to do it, and had given the opportunity, and I've always embraced any opportunity that's come my way because I've been so grateful that someone has put me into that area because they think I can do a job, and like we've all got our self pride about doing things, and if you're put into a job, you want to do it well. I like to think I've done a good job in whatever I've done, but as I said, I've had a fantastic journey, and have been rewarded a grand rank. I mean, you just never think about it. You just never think that's going to happen. You really don't. You don't do these jobs because you think of what's going to come out the other end.
Correct.
You just don't do that.
Yeah.
You just do the job because you feel honoured that someone's given you the privilege to do it, and hopefully, you've done your job well. So that's the self gratification part. And then, if something comes from that, it's fantastic. There's nothing better than being rewarded something that's unexpected. That's my experience. Anyway.
So a provincial rank, and indeed a grand rank, it's awarded on the basis of what you've done, but more so what you were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So the provincial grand master, and indeed the program master, when he was a grand rank, but they're very clear on that. You've done that because you've got there because of what you've done, but this is in anticipation of future service and future input. And of course, they'll hire the provincial rank or hire the grand rank, the more you've got to put your shoulder to the wheel, really. So you can't just expect to get a ground rank and then not carry on and work for the province and work for the fraternity, which is what we do. And Maurice is absolutely right. I mean, it's a huge privilege. It is an absolutely huge privilege, but there's a lot of responsibility. There's work that goes with it.
And I think with the work, it's absolutely fine to have aspiration because you need motivation.
Yep.
Okay, it's just when it comes to the expectation part, if you're in a job doing something that you feel is an expectation, you shouldn't be in the job.
Yeah.
You just shouldn't be in the job. You're doing it because you want to do it and you feel that, you've been privileged to have that job. And I mean that genuinely, so just been very, very privileged, and as well as a great deal of others, past and present, it's a massive privilege to work either for the province or for the area.
So part of you spoke earlier on about the aspects, the admin aspect. I mean, the really nice aspect is the visiting of the lodges, and official visits, and I do 10 or so official visits a year, but then I'll do another 10. So I'm going to try and get round to all of our lodges. We've got 40 odd lodges, all of them within a couple of years. So and I've done most of them now. And as I was the area chairman for 5 years, most of them, I'm fairly familiar with. So but that's great. That's the really nice part of the job, where you go along to an official visit.
You mentioned visiting in your positions. What's working right now? Because you get to see so much. And what do you feel is unfinished?
Well, the membership challenge is a constant work in progress.
Okay.
And you would have seen, I'm sure it's come down through Grand Lodge, and certainly come down through Provincial Lodge, that to enable our lodges to grow, we need to be having 3 candidates a year in our lodges and reducing the number of resignations. So if you can get 3 candidates in and only 1 resignation out, or indeed less than that, lodges are going to grow. So that's what we need to be targeting. Most lodges are stepping up to the plate and are doing that. I mean, there's some that are finding it tough, finding it really, really tough. We do our best to support those lodges the best we can in the area. We've got a membership team. We've got, as we sit here, 43 Form Ps, which will be familiar to most of the people that listen to this, which are people that have actually put their name down there, and we will be ballot initiated. So we're in this area. So we've got, and that translates over 1 per lodge, but it's not just 1 per lodge. Some lodges got 3 or 4 or 5, and others haven't got any. So we've got a good pipeline of candidates that are, if you like, registered and that we know that are going to come in. And then on the back of that, we've got another probably 50 or so that are really good leads as well, that we will hopefully turn into Form Ps and turn into candidates. So that side is great. We've got to try and reduce our resignations the best we can. This is not the greatest time of the year for that. People come back Christmas, the end of the Masonic, the end of the year when subs are due, and so we've got to make sure that we're picking up those people. So I think our membership, our initiation is going well, but it can always be improved on.
Absolutely.
That's what we're focusing on doing. But it will only work when people come in to lodges, have a great time, and want to stay in the fraternity.
Yeah, I mean, so something that James and I have been talking about the last couple episodes is challenging yourself, that if you haven't seen a brother in your lodge, just give him a shout, just give him a call, send him a text message, because that's very important. And sometimes just lack of engagement disconnects you from your lodge, and I think it just doesn't rest on your guys' shoulders. It rests on everybody's. Everybody in the lodge. I mean, we cannot just put the responsibility on you guys. I really do think of that. I think it's very important that we need to start giving responsibility even to our new initiates, because I remember going in through as an initiate, and there were some new guys that were just like, oh, I don't know if I have the time, or I'm good at this. No, you just come with me. We're gonna do this together. Just again, we take initiative by ourselves in our lodges.
People's circumstances change.
Agreed.
And so you might get an initiate that comes in, and he then, for whatever reason, finds the day a problem, or the time a problem. But all we need to do is recognise that.
Yeah.
And there will be other. It might be that you can't continue to be a member of that lodge, but we'll find him another lodge, and we've done that, and we do that on a regular basis to make sure that hopefully they can stay with the lodge, but if they can't, then certainly not lost to the area. And at worst case, they're not lost to the fraternities. That's what we try and do. We do recognise that, but like all these things, it's a challenge. It can be a challenge.
You talked earlier about the pleasure of going on official visits. How are those visits allocated to you? Do you have to do a set number a year, or can you come and go as you please? And what are your expectations of area chairman and others in terms of making them happen?
Come and go as we please. And I don't even do anything like that. Freemasonry. We are each of our areas is a large area. And it's interesting, I went to the Wiltshire province's annual general meeting yesterday, and our North Central area is as big in terms of number of lodges as the Wiltshire province. They have every single one of their lodges has an official visit every single year. We just can't get around to all of ours. So probably on average every 2-3 years, each of our lodges will have an official visit. We've got a matrix that Maurice and I work out. Of course, we've got a matrix. Excel spreadsheet. That's how we run the whole thing. Well, people do it for us because we're anchors and things like that. And then we'll work out and make sure that we visit the lodges. I try to go to the lodges that are possibly the more of the struggling ones within the area, because I think it's right that they see the APGM a little bit more regularly if we can. We'll, like I say, we'll do officially. So when it's an official visit, we'll have a provincial assistant ground director of ceremonies plus a team that comes with us. Invariably, that's probably between 18 to 20 people that are processing in the lodge, and you know it's very colourful, and it's all and it's a really nice experience. And as the APGM, you get offered the gavel and you can sit in the chair and you can do an address, and it's absolutely fine. It's really
It's a dining steward's nightmare.
It is.
What it is.
Well, it's really enjoyable. for a sort of a private and non-official visit, Maurice and I will, if we can, not necessarily all together, but we'll go to other lodges if they're doing something that's slightly different, or if they need a bit of support, or need a presentation of the certificate, all those sorts. So, like I say, I'm trying to get around to all of the lodges as often as we possibly can. But, we all have other responsibilities. I do have a home, I do have a wife, and I do a job. So we have to fit all those sort of things in as well. But, I mean, it's, that side of it's great. That's
yeah, and on the other spin, if you the North Central area receiving an assistant provincial grandmaster's official visit within our area. Our area grandmaster will not be attending, so therefore it's really the area chairman to receive the APGM along with the lodge to give the support there again, and receive him as best way we can. And again, I will ask the area vice chairmen to give as much as support we can for the visiting assistant provincial grandmaster to make sure that we have as nice as evenings as we possibly can.
And I'm going out to one next week, which is on the Isle of Wight, which is a different area, and then the week after that into Portsmouth, which I'm looking forward to extremely. Seems like going visited in Portsmouth for various reasons, and and I will be, I'm sure, very well looked after when I go there.
So I see you're wearing the new tie.
Got dressed up for you, Roddy. Certainly did, because you led me to believe this was going to be a visual
one,
podcast.
There are cameras, which does look.
Unfortunately, and when you told me that, I didn't bother to do my makeup, but it's fine. So I put my game face on. So yeah.
So I know now we're talking about Royal Origin. That's why I hit up on the tie, because now it's we have two in one.
Joint tie. It's one journey.
Joint tie.
One journey, one organisation.
And you wanted to touch base on Royal Arch in our area?
So it's interesting that we have now in our own area executive, we have a craft area chairman, which is Maurice, obviously, and a Royal Arch area chairman.
Okay.
Who's now part of our team. That's Charles McGeoch. So Charles comes along to our own area executives and ensures that we are the Royal Arch chapters within our area are represented there. So we've got quite a number of Masons who are lapsed but unattached Royal Arch Masons, so we'll re-engage with those to try and get those guys to come back into the Royal Arch is the first thing. And secondly, really, just to make sure that all of our new initiates now are aware of the 4 parts to a Freemason's journey. Freemason's journey, the 3 craft ceremonies and the Royal Arch ceremony as well. So with the narrative that we're now delivering after each of the ceremonies by the Royal Arch rep, that's bringing that to the fore as well. So we're doing quite good work, and in this area, percentage Royal Arch membership is good. But again, always a work in progress.
Yes,
always need to keep flagging it up. And I think the thing, I'm not overly concerned that we are missing out on our new initiates. I think I can see that we're bringing those guys on, and that'll be fine. It's just I go to lodges, Maurice does, and you see a lot of more senior craft masons that are just not wearing the Royal Arch jewel.
Mm-hmm.
You think to yourself, hang on, you've been a member for 20, 30 years or something like that, when you've not done any full ceremony, you've not completed your journey. So those are the people that we're targeting. And I'm a Royal Arch rep at my lodge, and I've got some good supporting people, bringing some guys in, so my job is fairly in that one. But that's what we need to be doing.
Excellent.
Can you foresee a day far into the future where the various offices of craft province and chapter province are aligned, so that the area chairman for craft and chapter is the same person, the chapter equivalent of an APGM is the same person? Of course, the PGM, as I understand it, is the chapter equivalent of the PGM. Can you see it maybe long into the future?
Well, so you've said there, James. We have a.
I tempted you there.
You did. I'm pedaling quickly. Very the other way. So we've got a joint PGM, a dual appointment with. PGM is now our Grand Superintendent, as is the case in a large number of the provinces. Probably 80% of the provinces in the country have a dual appointment now. So we've got a deputy provincial Grand Master with David Perkis and a deputy Grand Superintendent, James Neller. So the PGM has 2 deputies, and could they be amalgamated? At the moment, that's that there's a lot for them both to do. So I don't see the day that they do. And we have with the provincial second Grand Principal, third Grand Principal, they will. So I don't see that those will be amalgamated. I might be wrong. My provincial Grand Master, Grand Superintendent might tell me that I'm incorrect, but I don't see that in the areas. I think at the moment the way we have it is good, in so much as we've got Charles, who's the area chairman for Royal Arch, is specifically concentrating on the Royal Arch chapters in this area. We give him as much support. It's the responsibility of the craft to provide him with members. So they can only get members from the craft.
Yes,
so,
yes.
We need to take those new Master Masons and ensure that they are aware of the Royal Arch and are exalted. And then once they're in the Royal Arch, it's the responsibility of that order to make sure they're looked after and they enjoy their Royal Arch Masonry. So
And I'm told that in the North Central area, in the new year, a new chapter is being established at King's Court, the Pax Hill chapter, perhaps, which I suspect is quite a rare event for a new chapter.
Pax Hill chapter, which is the scout. So Pax Hill Lodge is a scouting lodge.
Yeah, that's right.
That was consecrated in I think it was 2012 or 2013. I should know. I'm not remember there because I was their first VO, surprisingly enough. And they have, they're going to have a scouting chapter, and I think that may well be so it should be next year. That's this first chapter that's been consecrated for quite a while.
But what do you think lodges can and perhaps should do differently moving forwards to help build that sense that chapter is just the next regular step in Freemasonry? Because I think, at the moment, it's the majority of members will still see it as an add-on rather than just the next thing that you do, and that requires a cultural shift. And what practical things can lodges do, perhaps, to over time start to say?
Again, good question. That's coming down from the program master, so they've recognised that. I mean, program master is the program first principle, so he's responsible for the Royal Arch as well. So he's very much seen that there is an opportunity there for the craft and the Royal Arch to join together in one journey, one organisation. But it's good. I mean, it's going to be a bit of a road on that one. What we're doing at the moment, in terms of the narratives, is coming out through the craft lodges and has generally been well received, and is being delivered. The Royal Arch ceremony has there have been certain amendments to that to make it a bit simpler, and there's a lot more explanatory reading that goes on as to what is happening, because I think when we've been in the Royal Arch before, you come out on what's a great ceremony, you're not quite sure what it is. The context of it wasn't as set as well as it is now, and I think that will encourage people to come into it. And again, on all these things, it's visibility, isn't it? And it's promoting. Look, are you aware of this, guys? You should be aware of it. Talk to your Royal Arch rep. The Royal Arch rep is a much more a high-profile role in our craft lodges now for all the right reasons. They should be delivering the joint letter. They should be talking to them, in terms of the narrative and actually, bringing up to the brethren about the fourth ceremony. So again, but like all these things, Freemasonry is just like some of the other big organisations, big tanker to turn around, doesn't it? So
it takes time.
I wonder if one of the things that might be helpful would be if brethren could go into chapter sooner after having done their third degree than is currently the case. And I haven't been in chapter very long, but I've seen a couple of new companions exalted who did so only when they'd been through or taken the chair of their own craft lodge, and I suspect it feels very, very uncomfortable to go into a place where you know little or nothing about what's happening, having got to a point where in craft you know almost everything that's going on. It's okay, and if you did it earlier in your journey, it would be more contiguous than it is now.
And I remember somewhat going back a few years, you used to hear people talking about the Royal Arch and say, "Well, this is the Royal Arch, that's the jaw. He's a member of the Royal Arch, but don't give it some consideration until you've either been through the chair or been a deacon or something like that." I mean, we don't do that now. We encourage people to come in a lot earlier.
Yes.
Within a month, or is it a month? It's
6 weeks. It's ready.
6 weeks. So and people should be encouraged to do that. I joined my chapter after just looking at, I think it was about 3 or 4 years. So I was a deacon at the time. In fact, I went into the Mark degree before I went in the Royal Arch.
Oh, wow.
It was just the way it panned out.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Just the way it panned out. It was my chapter at that time, had a lot of members, and I had to wait for years. But so now we've got some great chapters in this particular area, and all of them will be delighted to receive candidates.
Absolutely.
Come speak to myself and Maurice. Maurice is in a chapter, but he's in another area, so we won't go on about.
My perception also is the fact of when you join another companion order, or when you join Freemasonry, and you are presented a ritual book. If you could, within a first week, or certainly 6 weeks, know from start to finish that and it could contain all that information in, or would you rather turn around and learn it and take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years to read it? So you'd want to know it straight away, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you read a book, if you start reading an autobiography, you would want to finish it to know the ending of it, wouldn't you? And so it's the same with the crafting chapter. You're in the craft, the story's not finished. It's carrying on. You take the next step.
Yeah.
You know, you take your next ceremony to learn what the completion is of the craft experience. So a whole general experience is one. And I personally, for myself, I wouldn't understand anyone that wouldn't want to take that next step.
Yeah.
And then you've got the companion orders alongside that, which enhance the craft and the Royal Arch experience.
Agreed.
So I think the last question I have for you gentlemen today is, once you've, you know, having attained office in craft, what comes next once your 5 years or 7 years or however many it is in your current post is over? What roles might you aspire to next? What might an assistant, a past assistant provincial Grand Master or a past area chairman do?
James, again, in my view, this is my own view, you continue to support the fraternity, continue to support the provincial Grand Master, and it depends. A lot of my colleagues, as you know, I am Inspector General of the Ancient and Accepted.
That's right.
Head of that order. And a lot of my colleagues, Inspector Generals, were or are indeed past Assistant Provincial Grand Masters, past deputies. So there's often a role in some of the companion orders that people go into after they've been heavily involved in the craft of the Royal Arch, once they've been put out pasture. But so you tend to focus on, I think, more of the companion orders. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure Maurice and my home boss would agree, the main thing is to continue to support the province, to support the fraternity. Get behind the policies, because if you are as a past assistant provincial Grand Master, Grand rank, that's what you need to do. You've got to give support to the current provincial Grand Master and be behind him, because you'll still be visible in your own craft lodge. There'll still be people that look to you and see that you're wearing the badge of the rank and all this, that and the other. So that's what to do. But I think that's where you more often than not end up doing a lot of your Freemasonry, whereas it's just a little bit easier.
Well, personally, I would like to aspire to be a podcast presenter. So,
there's always space.
I wanted to do.
There's always space
after this job.
Rather, he's got the face for it.
I can't go any more where I was just a provincial Grand Master said, at the end of the day, we're all in Freemasonry to enjoy, and as I said previously, whatever comes our way of opportunities for whatever position it may to aspire to, as in from being a VO. I've never been a VO, so but whatever it is to support our provincial Grand Master in the province.
And there's nothing to stop a past assistant provincial Grand Master or an area chairman to go back and be a VO. Nothing to stop that at all. That's great.
Okay.
We have done that in our area. One of the past assistant provincial Grand Masters a couple ago was a VO in one of our lodges, and it was great. He absolutely wanted to do it, and he was superb in that. That was Roy Quinn, so that was really good. So there's nothing to stop that at all. Getting back involved. We're fortunate in terms of our VOs that we've got. Quite a number of really good Masons to the that can step up into that role. There's nothing to stop a past area chairman or something like that to go back into it. In terms of the overall situation, my overriding aim, as I said earlier on, is to just grow the area and just to make sure that everybody's enjoying their Freemasonry.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that as the assistant provincial Grand Master and a past assistant as well. Just make sure that everybody is looking forward to visiting their lodge and coming back.
I also think one of the most important jobs, and I mean one of the most important jobs in Freemasonry, is a visiting officer's role. He can be a great asset to any lodge, and he can make great changes to the lodge and support a lodge to make those changes. I don't think there's any more importance than that in
I
Freemasonry.
mean, those are the guys that know the lodges. They're in there. They go to every meeting, or practically every single meeting, and they feed back to their area vice chairman and through Maurice and through me. Every meeting of that lodge, so we get the window of that lodge. See who's a in inverted commas, a rising star, who's done really well, who's delivered some great ritual, who's doing really, really good things, not necessarily in terms of ritual, but other things in the lodge. We'll get to hear about it. And that's the VO is the person that will pick that up and make sure, because you just can't get around to every single meeting.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time today. That was a fascinating insight into your journeys and how the North Central area is run.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you guys for taking time.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. So,
Yeah, brethren, we're going to be back next month with another great episode. But until then, in the usual way, Roddy and I have been happy to meet you.
very, very sorry to part.
Happy to meet you again.
See you next time.